Welcome, new and old friends. My name is 242, and today is about revenge. 2 got a 6 altogether. Please remember that this is the last video of our original day stories. So grab yourself a tea or coffee. Things are about to get interesting. Customer flips out over the word courtesy, loses out on a free waiver. By Writer Fighter 201. This technically wasn't my petty revenge, but that of a coworker of mine that I was witness to. I work in a call center for a credit card company. At the time, there was a $10 fee for processing a payment over the phone. I'm not here to justify it. That's just what it was, and it was perfectly legal. It was one of those things that a CSR could choose to waiver, but were definitely not required to, and in fact would have to justify their reasoning for waivering it. Waiver too many, and you'll get less of a raise, worse shift choices, etc. So, not a lot of people wavered them. Anyway, I was staying with a girl, listening to her call as part of my job at that time, and she receives a call that went like this, verbatim. "I would like to make a payment over the phone," the customer said gruffly. "That's no problem," replied the rep. "It does have to be with a check, and there is a $10 processing fee for that." "A fee? I didn't know there was a fee." "Well, I can waiver it for you as a courtesy, since this is the first time you paid by the phone. Just remember, you can always pay online or in the store." "A courtesy?" he shrieks, cutting her off. "It isn't a courtesy. You can't consider it a courtesy if there's no other way to pay for the dang bill." "I'm going to waiver it for you, sir," she pleaded, trying to talk him down from unhinged fury. "It's no problem, but there are other payment methods. As I was saying, you can—" "This isn't right," he continued to berate her. "How dare you say it's a courtesy? I want to talk to your supervisor right now." At this point, she was required to transfer to a supervisor, getting someone I knew quite well and who had little patience for jerk customers. I didn't hear the call myself, but I talked to the supervisor after. Upon getting the call, the customer screamed at her, the supervisor, for the word courtesy being used and demand apology and to pay his bill. She apologized. She was required to. We all were, regardless of fault or logic when talking to a customer, and offered to take his payment. However, because he was being an ass, she refused to waiver the $10 fee, which was her prerogative and totally allowed. The prior rep had made a judgment call to offer to waiver the fee. That was that individual's decision, and since he didn't allow her to process the payment, thus he didn't accept her offer, the next person was not bound by that. And the way our phone were set up, it was impossible to transfer it back to the original CSR. It is definitely a fine line, she told, but it is still allowed. He ultimately made the payment with the fee, and that was that. Let that be a lesson. Don't be a dick and set your ego aside. Act like a piss baby and make faces at me from your car? Alright, then wait annoyingly long at the ATM. By AnnaMak. I was out running an errand just depositing some cash when this absolute piss baby decided to act like he was 5. I was going to a drive-through ATM, and to get there, I was driving through a part of the parking lot. Literally the only way to get to it is through said lot. As I was entering from one part of the lot, I saw some other dude driving to the same place. I drive out into the entrance before him, but we had a decent amount of space between us, so it's not like as if I cut him off when entering the line. What does he do in response? Honk like a fucking maniac. Not once, not twice, just aggressively hits that shit like his life depends on it. There was a small line at the ATM itself, including me, 3 cars in front of the piss baby. But this wasn't awful for what it could have been. This guy was not having that though. I saw him look absolutely irate in my rear view. And then he promptly and quite aggressively pulls out and floors it out of the ATM line. That's the last of that, right? Nope. Dude fucking comes back into the line looking annoyed as hell. He then proceeded to look like he was popping off at me and even started sneering and making faces. Like, come on, are you a child, dude? Note, I'm a 20-year-old woman. This guy looks like he's in his 40s. I get running errands and having a bad day, and maybe he was in a rush. But like, shit man, just grumble, be annoyed. But if you act like a little piss baby, then get ready for me to be petty, cause I was not having it. The 2 cars in front of me finished up pretty quickly, but I had other plans. I was in no particular rush, and I had to deposit 20 somewhat bills. Like most ATM machines, you can just stick a wad of bills in and it reads them. But I decided to feed the machine each bill individually. This, of course, prompts me on the screen to either add more bills or finish depositing each time, which adds on a good minute or 2 of me being there. This didn't take horrendously long, so I didn't delay him that badly, but I know that every second counts to someone who clearly can't be bothered to wait. The most glorious moment is when I made eye contact with him through my mirror. He was sitting there very clearly steaming and annoyed at the wait, and I just had the biggest shit-eating grin. He probably couldn't see it, but it was enough for me that he was pissed. To whoever this guy is, fuck you. I hope those 2 extra minutes ruined that part of your day, you absolute piss baby. An adult insulting me, a teenager, to my face. Sick. Enjoy your wet clothes. By bitchboybarry. Background info. I work as a host at a popular chain restaurant that was featured on an even more popular sitcom and memed to death on apps like Vine. My job generally consists of greeting and sitting guests, bussing tables, rolling silverware, etc. Due to COVID, our policies have changed a bit. Instead of clearing tables with a rag and some soapy water, we now use paper towel and peroxide. If you use too much of the peroxide when cleaning a table, it takes forever to dry, so most of us tend to use 2 to 3 squirts of the stuff. On to the story. It was a Saturday afternoon at about 4:45-ish, and we were already busy. Our busy doesn't usually look busy, but we're really understaffed, so the amount of tables we sit at one time is limited. I have 1 clean table right now, all the others need to be cleaned off, and I haven't gotten a break in customers to go do that. These 2 women walk in and ask for a booth. Fine. I have half booth, half table. They can sit on the same side, right? Absolutely not. I take them to the table and they call me stupid to my face. They start storming off towards the doors, presumably to leave, passing by a few dirty booths on the way. They then stop in front of a very large booth meant for 6 people, also dirty. Of course, this is the one they want. A booth that sits 6. piled high with dishes on a Saturday evening with several big tops coming in later. Cool. Not like I can say no. I clean the booth and absolutely load it up with clean spray. I'm talking upwards of 10 squirts. The table and the seats, it's practically dripping by the time I'm done. By some miracle, the two women don't say anything about it. They sit down. I watch their face change from arrogant satisfaction to disgust and discomfort. They ask me for some paper towels, which I give them, and proceed to clean their own booth. They don't stay very long after that. They get kicked out for spiking their own drinks. Too long? Didn't read? If you're going to insult an employee to their face, be prepared for them to make sure you smell like clean solution for the rest of the evening. Also, don't spike your own drinks in a restaurant. You will get thrown out. At least in the state I live. If you're enjoying this video, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. Upstairs neighbors decide to watch a loud action movie at 3 a.m. by mezekaldon. When my wife and I got married, our first apartment was in a house that had been subdivided into 4 units. 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. The basement had a coin-operated washer and dryer that all the tenants shared. By chance, our apartment had the indoor basement stairs. All other tenants need to use the outdoor stairs to access the basement. One night, the neighbor directly above us decided to watch an action movie at about 3 a.m. Loud explosions, rock music soundtrack, gunfire sounds, everything. I'm a plumber, and I've worked in construction trades for more than a decade, so I understand how most residential construction works. I knew each apartment had their own electrical service, so I walked downstairs and flipped their main breaker off, killing all the power to their apartment, and none to anyone else. Counted to 30 and turned it back on again, then went upstairs and fell asleep in my now peacefully quiet bedroom. While all of their appliances and electronics were booted, worked like a charm. The Christmas Ornament Robin Hood by selectivelycrazy. It's 2020, unfortunately. It's the day after my 2 younger sisters and I flew out to Pennsylvania to see my dad, who lives there after getting divorced by my mom for 15 years of not being a good husband or dad. He lives with his mom, cranky grandma, and her devil cat, as well as my amazing aunt and her angel kitten. My dad gets home from work. "Where's Emmy?" he asked my cranky grandma. "She's in the basement," cranky grandma says, probably throwing in a snide comment or two about the newly dyed purple hair adoring my head or the leather fingerless gloves that have joined my black wardrobe. "Looking for some Christmas ornaments." Dad goes down to the basement stairs and finds me rummaging through the cardboard boxes. "What are you looking for?" he says. "Hi, Dad," I said. "Well, I noticed that you decorated for Christmas, but you're missing a few things. Where's the mooses?" The mooses are a pair of stuffed mooses that have been put up every Christmas since I can remember. They're brown, about 2 feet tall, and soft as marshmallow. There's Mama Moose, who is named Mary, holding Baby Moose, who is named Christmas, and is in a red velvet sack reading Merry Christmas on it in gold embroidery. The mooses always go on the couch to watch over the living room and all the decorations and presents in it while we're sleeping. The problem with the mooses is that when my mom divorced Dad, she was so scared of him that she let him have almost everything. This included the mooses and quite a few more of her treasured ornaments. And since I've always been the one to set the mooses on the couch, that first Christmas with a divorced dad just didn't feel right without them. Dad helps me look for the mooses for a while. "Sorry, sweetie, they must have gotten lost in the move," he says. I smiled and didn't tell him that I hated being called sweetie. "It's okay," I say, and pulled out a cardboard box. "Hey, look! It's your What God Wants for Christmas box. I love that tradition." We go and set up What God Wants for Christmas in the living room. I say, "I think I'm going to go take a nap." Dad says, "Okay." I go upstairs and into my room and shut the door. I walk over to the window seat / storage chest under the window and open it. "Hello, mooses," I say. The mooses lay on top of my stuffed animal collection, looking dusty. Several other ornaments I recognize as Mom's are keeping them company. I grin and shut the chest. It's the day we flew back to my home state. I have the mooses packed away in my suitcase, with other ornaments tucked inside them, wrapped in my fluffiest, but still black, hoodie to protect them. I roll my suitcase out to the hallway. Dad is weighing the youngest sister's bag to make sure it's under 50 pounds. "Okay, now I need to check to make sure you're not stealing any of my stuff," he tells her. My mind says, "Oh no." My brain gives me the uncomfortable memories of how Dad raged when he thought one of us had stolen his coffee mug. My voice says, "Privacy invading in 3, 2, in a joking tone. Dad and the youngest sister laugh. Dad does not check anyone's suitcase. We are at the airport. Youngest suitcase is somehow 3 pounds over weight limit. Dad says, "Emmy, grab one of the suitcases as Ori went through and open it up. We can put some of the youngest sister's stuff in there." He gestures to my suitcase. My mind makes an ear-splitting screech noise that sounds like someone slamming the brakes to avoid hitting a pedestrian, and hit the pedestrian anyways. My brain imagines Dad opening the suitcase, going into a rage at the sight of the mooses. My voice says, "Sure, Dad." My hand grabs the youngest suitcase instead of mine and passes it over. Dad opens it. Her suitcase contains no smuggled goods. We transfer the stuff, and the very nice airport lady sends all of our bags down the belt. Dad asks me why I waved to mine. I shrug. "Just being weird," I say. "Good luck, mooses," my mind says. We went back home, my family, my older sister who didn't go with us, Mom, and other grandma, who we'll call Mega, and my Papa, or Grandpa, are sitting in the living room catching up. I say, "I'm disappointed you took the tree down already." Older sister says, "It's past New Year's." "I know," I say, "but I brought some stuff to put on it." I opened my suitcase and showed around the ornaments I smuggled back. 3 tiny stuffed snowmen, 1 catnip stuffed cat ornament, a white clay angel, a wooden rocking horse, a wooden mouse king, a clay snowman, my older sister's stuffed dog. When I unveiled the rocking horse, Mega gasped, "I bought that for your mother when she was little," she exclaims. "How did your dad get it?" "That's not everything," I say, unzipping the flap, hiding the mooses from view. I pull out the mooses. Older sister and Papa clap. "How did you get those back here right under Dad's nose? older sister asks. Maga laughs so hard she has tears in her eyes. The tears in Mom's eyes are not from laughter. Slowly, she reaches out and takes the mooses, hugging them to her chest. Over their antlers, she mouths, "Thank you." And then she gets up, she sits the mooses down on the couch, right where they belong. I catfished a former boss to get paid. By Pristine Accident 74. I used to work for a married couple, Billy, male, 52, and Gigi, female, 44, who owned a business services/public relations agency. It lasted more or less for a year. They seemed nice and humble, but in reality, they were shady and untruthful. The company began to falter because of poor management and zero intention to prioritize. Billy was your baby-face next-door neighbor type. He looked about 10 years younger and had a kind smile. He was soft-spoken and had an artistic and creative flair to him. Gigi looked matronly with a Mother Earth incarnate attitude towards her children. She prided herself on being ruthless when it came to giving her family only the best. She could be really nice when she wanted to, but I found out early on she was 100% adept at gossip and being two-faced. The company's constant changes were a red flag. They went from business services plus PR agency to IT provider to a business incorporator to indie beer partners. What I'm trying to say is that they tried to dip their donut on everyone's coffee, figuratively. Some of us had no real way to escape. The lady working next to me was already 67 years old and scared no one would hire her. I wasn't in a great place either. We were 8 employees in total. They wouldn't lay anyone off because they believed that the employee should quit. They paid us only a portion of our salaries, incomplete weekly payments. Employees would run for the hills once they found a better job. Some of us were stuck. It was horrible. Then they would pay the normal rate for a month and then do it all again. They never cut down on their luxury expenses, so the wife would post her shopping sprees or arrive in a new car like it was nothing. Zero empathy, very insensitive. The husband was obsessed with making it big time, so much that he sometimes failed to see an opportunity right in front of him. He said he was Coca-Cola's brand manager. I swear, I looked it up and could never find any reference. Gigi had a display full of small local magazines, mostly about design and architecture. They were very proud to be a team member, but in reality, they just helped them print 2 issues. They wanted big business only, but in the meantime, looked down upon any tangible potential clients. Like the young Latino couple who showed up trying to learn more about their services. They seemed lost because they wanted someone to help them set up a coffee business and had no idea how it was done. I talked to them and helped them into the waiting room. They even showed up with their baby in a stroller. That means they must have been driving by and decided to come in. An impulsive client should be retained. The guy said his grandpa had a farm and he wanted to create an import/export company. Only Billy showed up. He listened for a bit, then kinda gave them a kind of abrupt dismissal. That was a dick move because the couple opened their own business with someone else and even has a Facebook page. It could have been Billy. Billy lined his office walls with posters of Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. His wife and the chief enabling officer put up signs on each room. The main employee area was the machine room. Billy's office was the chamber. The conference room was a meeting of the minds. Every time an employee disagreed with Billy during a brainstorming session, Gigi would call them aside and tell them that Billy is your boss. You need to know that he is brilliant and a genius. I want him to have that taste of success. I experienced that firsthand. I also hated brainstorming because that was never on my job description. They just wanted to pick someone's brain. In the meantime, we had to see the Pandora jewelry, the expensive makeovers for their daughters, and the weekend at the spa updates on Facebook. Gigi's captions were usually about rewarding herself after a hard week or because she deserved it. Oh, and I'd like to mention they bought into the social guru phase about emotional direction. So if an employee even got angry, Gigi would tell them, remember, the one who gets angry is the one who ends up losing. For anyone who's been in this situation, you may understand how painful it can be. You can't leave the job because you have no other job waiting for you. And pathetic as it may sound to some income is better than no income at all. This is an involuntary compromise, and it's abusive. Why were we expected to pay for their luxuries via incomplete wages? My best friend's ex is into coding and programming, and he agreed to help. If it didn't work out, at least we would have something to laugh about. We created a kick-ass fake website with a matching LinkedIn and the whole 9 yards. To make a long story short, this was supposed to be an investment company, and my friend would be very casual, nothing too eager. He started by liking my employer's Facebook page, then comment. Before we knew it, my boss took the bait and was engaging. They exchanged emails, and he was eager to share all of his projects and ambition shit. On the other side, the investor set him a list of requirements, like proof of concept, employer payroll, EIN numbers, etc. The investor agreed to work with them if they could prove they were legit and up to date. No bank account of confidential info was asked. Within 3 weeks, I was paid the equivalent of the 2.5 months I was owed. The investor did a about face and never contacted him again. I left the job as soon as I could. My friend who remained until she got paid told me our boss seemed off and a bit down after he announced big things are coming. But it all seemed to deflate. I never disclosed what was really going on. Edit. My boss wasn't scammed into paying money to a fake website. He was catfished into getting up to date with an employee's salary that he owed. Edit. For anyone who doesn't understand the story, no money was paid, asked from or wired from my boss to the investor. We baited his greedy character and told him that if he could prove everything was in order, the investment would happen. This included the payroll. No confidential info was asked nor offered, seen or reviewed. He paid everyone what he owed them. The payment was made to each worker as normal. No one stole money via any website. He just made the diligence. EIN numbers and what we asked are all not confidential. Don't Mess with Sandra by Anonymous. This tale was told to me as a warning when I started in my first post-college job. I am relating it exactly as it was told to me. This occurred in the early 80s, so those of you who have grown up with the internet may not understand how we did things in the older days. There were no smartphone apps to show QR codes for airline tickets. There were paper with red carbon mess. Reservations were done by phone. It was primitive by today's standards. Players' names have been changed, of course. Sandra, super sweet secretary, loved by all. True, I worked with her. She was amazing. Fred, Sandra's boss. Tom, local VP, big shot. Incoming manager from back east. Al, lead engineer on the team. This occurred in Salt Lake City, which, if you don't know, family was a huge part of culture. Even at work, family matters took precedence, and local management knew this and allowed for it. Well, big shot office minions in another corporate location noticed slight irregularities in time cards, like days off without pre-approved vacation requests. So he got himself a transfer to Salt Lake City's office to straighten things out. He was pushy, and naturally, he was quickly hated. Big Shot ended up as a middle management between Tom at the top and Fred. One morning, Sandra got a call from her daughter was unexpectedly in town and wanted to have lunch. Naturally, Fred and Tom gave her the okay. Big Shot didn't like that, although it wasn't explained why. Maybe it wasn't by the book. Maybe he was upset that Sandra went over his head. In any event, he decided to stick his nose in. But rather than say no, he dropped a last-minute urgent travel request on Sandra's desk, and it had to be done before he expected to fly out that afternoon. Sandra was heartbroken that she wouldn't get to see her daughter, but she had her work responsibilities. Stopping by to drop off the paperwork, Alice noticed that Sandra looked a little down, a huge change from her normal chipper mood. He naturally asked why, and Sandra explained. Al told her, he had no authority by the way, to go have lunch and we'll take care of it. Big Shot got his travel package, got on the plane that afternoon, and flew off to his meeting. That's when things started to go wrong. The rental car reservation was invalid, and there were no cars available at any of the agencies. All had a hold on them pending confirmation from some clients. So Big Shot ended up getting a rent-a-wreck. For those too young or not in the US, there really was a discount auto rental agency by that name. Quality was not job one. When Big Shot got to his hotel, he found out that his reservation was no good. He had to wait until after the tentative reservation expired, which was after 6 p.m. Getting suspicious, Big Shot looked at his ticket and found they were one way. He had no flight home. To say Big Shot was incensed was probably an understatement. The next morning, Tom flew in to join him, and he gave Big Shot a package that was marked extremely urgent, that he had been left on his desk with a note to take it to Big Shot. It was Big Shot's return ticket. On the way back, Big Shot detoured by the corporate office and got a very senior exec to come with him because of some very serious personnel problems. The next morning, Big Shot led the senior exec and Tom into the meeting with all of Fred's department and began publicly berating Sandra for incompetence and so on. When he got to the part about the tickets, Fred interrupted and told the senior exec that Sandra couldn't have done that. She was on approved time off having lunch with her daughter. This raised the senior exec's eyebrow and got Big Shot even angrier. The senior exec said if Sandra didn't mess up the tickets, who did? Fred stepped forward, then Al, and one by one, every single member of Fred's team stepped forward to take responsibility to protect Sandra from Big Shot's wrath. Tom and the senior exec knew exactly what had happened. Everyone's on Fred's team had burned up the phone making tentative reservations for rental cars and hotel rooms, leaving Big Shot stuck with a one-way ticket, worthless reservations, and no alternatives. Within the hour, Big Shot's desk was empty and his badge had been turned in. It was never explained if Big Shot was fired or if he just quickly relocated. The senior exec stuck around to get to know the team. He was very impressed with how the whole team stuck together and protect their own. After he finished telling me the tale, the engineer said bluntly, "Don't mess with Sandra. We love her, and we will make you pay if you upset her." Message received loudly and clear. And I worked with Fred's team. I got to understand why everyone loved Sandra. She was an absolute gem in the organization. Efficient, super friendly, just an all-around wonderful person. Amendment. I appreciate all the kind words and awards. Allow me to clarify a point or two. Note, everything is from what I was told, because I wasn't there. So I apologize for any possible incorrect inferences I have made from this tale. From what was said, Big Shot was not well liked. He had a strict by-the-book mentality and was a bully. Tom and Fred had told Sandra it was okay to take a long lunch with her daughter. Big Shot didn't like this because it didn't meet the week advance approval policy. Just a guess, but he probably got his panties in a bunch because the request went over his head too. He couldn't stop Sandra, but he could bully her and make her miss the lunch meeting because he didn't like the informality of approval in the SLC branch. He might have intended to demonstrate that he was Fred's superior and people needed to get his approval, and probably to install a little fear. Didn't work out so well for him. Amendment 2. Some of the respondents apparently aren't reading the comments, so let me clarify for those who want to be contrarian or a jackass. From the way I was told the story, Big Shot was not removed from his job for doing his job. Sandra had permission from Big Shot's boss. That's explained in several comments below. His job did not include authority to override his boss's decision. He was removed for trying to bully Sandra, who she had permission. He was not doing his job. I do hope you enjoyed these tales. I personally feel that this was a very strong end for what was our original day stories. Tell me what you think down below. I would love to hear. If you're a new friend, become an old friend by subscribing and turning that pretty little bell to all notifications. If you want to listen to only the audio, check out my podcast, Daydreams and Nightmares with 242. I like to thank all my Patreons for their support. You guys have seriously been helping me lately. And if you like to pick something that I read or get early access, go ahead, check it out. I also have merch with my avatars on, a mug, a shirt, a mask. All the links are in the tree link in the description. Thank you for joining me, and as always, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.